So the final thing to consider in this section when we're thinking about how to kind of rescue our intuitions or thinking about um, answering this question positively or at least not negatively when it comes to um, can we trust our moral intuitions is that through the course of this conversation, it seems like it's very difficult to think of a way to dispense with intuitions because um, we've already seen that the justifications for most major ethical theories largely come from intuitions, um, as well as from first order moral argument. But if we aren't content to just jump for a ethical theory that's kind of ready made and will provide us with answers, it seems like intuitions need to be part of the story. Um, and so we might want to suggest that even if our intuitions are unreliable, we can't dispense with them. And so the question is kind of slightly moot in the sense that we couldn't possibly get rid of our intuitions. If we wanted to have ethical reasoning, ethical discourse, intuitions are something that needs to be at the table, even if we might think that some of them are unreliable. Um, and then to kind of compound this point, it seems like we often are going to have to make moral decisions using our intuitions in the first place. Um, and so this is slightly different from the point that if we want to get ethical reasoning in the first place, we need intuitions to get that off the ground. This second idea is more that most ethical decisions that you make are going to be made on quite a short time frame, and they don't often give us enough time to kind of ponder over what the correct response is. Instead, you're going to be acting on the basis of your intuition. We can't, if we're out there in the real world and forced to take moral decisions, it won't be often possible to retreat into the philosophy classroom and have a debate about it. Instead, you'll have to act on what you think is intuitively morally correct. And so it seems slightly irrelevant to ask whether our moral intuitions can be trusted when we often don't have the choices to whether or not to trust them. We have to trust them in order to make these decisions that we have to make in practice, um, since it's the kind of best option that we have in these cases. So um, that's everything for this final content lecture, looking at whether we can trust our moral intuitions. So just to recap what we've said today, then it seems like some people might want to, provide counter arguments to the four arguments that we saw against the trustworthiness of our moral intuitions. Um, I believe that they will have an uphill battle if they choose to do that. A lot of those arguments I think are pretty strong, but we talked about ways in which you could do that. This lecture focused on other kinds of ways that we could reconceive a role for intuitions within philosophy, whether that be trying to get rid of bad intuitions, trying to root them out, and thus make our stock of intuitions more reliable, or going in for something more wholesale like reflective equilibrium, which tries to mediate between um, theories and intuitions in order to try and get an overall coherent and compelling picture.